Hello everyone. Today we will discuss the module for collecting by location. To do this, in the software, go to the Audience Collection section, then to the Location Collection. If the module does not display a map on the right side when you enter it, simply click the Reset button. Now, regarding the software settings, first of all, you can either manually specify the coordinates of the points from which you collect, or use the map. This module collects the audience based on the points, or rather the coordinates, specified by you. However, it is important to note that the module only collects the audience that has allowed and provided access to their geoposition in Telegram. It does not collect everyone who is in that geoposition, but only those who have allowed Telegram to access their geoposition. In Telegram settings, there is an option to share your geoposition, and the software collects users who have enabled this feature, as well as others. Let me show you. You can specify the coordinates, latitude, and longitude, or add fields here. If needed, you can also delete or use the map. For example, you can go to the map and select any city or country or specific coordinates that you need. Click this button and select the area to be collected. Area selected. Click Create Points. Here are the radius settings. They are already set by default, and you can leave them as they are or experiment. If you are interested, you can decrease the radius in meters or increase it by 1 point. The software has collected all the coordinates of the specified point for us. If you want to change the point from which to collect the coordinates, click the button, delete the current point, and choose a larger radius. Click Create Points. Keep in mind that the software overwrites. If you create another point in one of the tasks, the software will overwrite your coordinates. Next, in the settings, we need to select the accounts from which we will collect from our specified points. It's quite simple. There's nothing complicated here. Choose the area to collect from, create points, and you have the coordinates. Select the accounts from which you will collect, and here's the key point: remember to choose only accounts that have a profile picture. If your accounts do not have profile pictures, you will not be able to collect from them based on geolocation, as this is a limitation imposed by Telegram. For example, choose the accounts with profile pictures. Check in advance whether the accounts have profile pictures and specify the number of points per account. The recommended value is 10 to 15 points per account for collection, but in practice, this value can be higher. It's just a recommended value. If you are interested in testing different maximum values for your accounts, you can do so. We will specify 10 here. Next is the maximum flood waiting time. This is a standard setting in many modules, and like in all modules, it means that if an account detects a flood above the specified value, it will stop its work. If it is below the specified value, the account will wait for this time and continue its work. Then, there is the option to use a database, but I will show you that a bit later. You can work with a database and also manage threads. If necessary, you can configure the thread speed. If you do not enable threads in the module, as in all modules, the thread speed will be taken from the software settings. Since we have selected 5 accounts, let's set 5 threads with minimal delays. That's it. The accounts are selected, the settings are configured. Click Start. As we can see, the software immediately creates a database for you called base. It stores all your original coordinates, and the software also creates a parsing database where the results will be stored.
That's it, the software has finished its task. Let me first show you the base database.
We navigate to it and see all our coordinates here. And they have statuses. Here we can sort the statuses. For example, if we see that these coordinates have been collected, it means they have been collected. If they haven't been collected, it means the status is ready.
These coordinates have not been processed yet, so if something hasn't been collected completely, you can use the option to use the database. Here you specify the path to this database, with the points that haven't been completely collected.
And the software will only take coordinates with the ready status from this database, meaning those that haven't been collected before. And if you have already processed the database and want to collect the audience again using the same database, you also select the path to the database so that you don't create points again.
You click on Reset Statuses in the database, and the software will reset the statuses in this database, to which you specified the path and set all of them to ready, and will start collecting all the coordinates from this database from the very beginning.
This is very convenient if you often collect the audience by geography, so that you don't have to collect the audience multiple times from the same coordinates. For example, if you collected it once, let's say you need a certain city. You collected it once, periodically go through it to collect. For example, new users, then through the module of excluding databases. You excluded those whom you collected earlier, and so on. Next, we move on to the database, for example, parsing, that is, with the result. Pay attention, as I already mentioned earlier. The software collected users from these coordinates. It collected users from several tens of coordinates. And keep in mind that the software only collects users with usernames by geography, because there is no possibility to work with such an audience by ID.
As many of you probably know, a donor chat is needed. And when collecting by geographical chat, there is no donor chat to find users by ID.
Therefore, all users here are based on their usernames. More precisely, the work is launched specifically as usual,
by usernames. Also, not only users are collected by geography, but also groups.
Here we go to the groups section and see that based on these coordinates,
there were groups and channels. The software also collects all of this by geography.
If you have groups or channels based on these coordinates that have shared their geolocation,
they will also be listed here. So the software collects not only users, but also groups and channels, which will also be in a separate list.
You can sort the audience further if necessary, but as you can see, the audience is quite active based on the dates. However, if you need to sort certain moments, you can do it either through the module,
clearing the database, or manually. For example, here's how you can do it. They don't have time for this.
These are older users. You can delete it manually or through the module like this.
Save.
Select the rest, and you have the audience left, only the one from the last day. But these are too strict criteria because there are fewer users. But if you collect voluminously, and the rest of the audience was quite active, so consider these moments, both groups and users. And, as I already mentioned, if for some reason your accounts did not fully collect the specified database from these coordinates, you can always continue either from new accounts or from current accounts, but simply specify the path to the database. The key points, as I mentioned earlier, are that accounts that collect based on location must have avatars. This is a mandatory condition for collecting based on location from accounts. And in general, if you need to change, for example, move to another city, select the audience, create points. The software will create points for you. Select new accounts.
Start collecting based on location. That's it. Here, in terms of using it, you decide for yourself what is best for you. As for the settings, I repeat, here it is indicated by default. Of course, you can, for example, create a point, choose a smaller radius, and create points, but there are certain limits, as you can see, so there will be too many points. Therefore, if you create it like this, the software will create all the points. So you can either enter the coordinates manually or select a specific location on the map and collect from there. There is nothing particularly difficult in working with this module.
But the audience, I must say, is very good, unlike the audience that is collected, for example, from chats or comments on channels.
But, as in any direction, there are pros and cons of collecting such an audience, because it is not tied to any specific topics.
If the same audience is collected from chats, it is tied to a specific topic, but here the audience is simply tied to the location. And keep in mind that the audience periodically updates based on geo points. So you can collect the desired audience from a specific point once. Save this database and periodically collect from it for testing. When you try the module yourself, specify the number of points per account.
For example, 1, 2, 3, and then depending on your accounts,
your needs, and the volume of collected information, you can set the suitable settings for you. 5, 10, 15 points per account are more than enough from the recommended values. So there is nothing difficult in using the module itself.
Thank you all for watching. Goodbye to everyone.